Drama. The Oxford Dictionary defines it as an exciting, emotional, or unexpected event or circumstance. And that's what we saw last time out at Long Beach. An exhilarating finish in a race to the line for third place between Clog and Schrenkler, with Clog running out by literally hundredths of a second to claim that last coveted place on the podium. Will we have similar levels of excitement today? Well, if you know anything about this league, it is never far away. Hello and welcome to Season 4 and Round 3 of the XSLR Championship, live from Donington Park in the UK. I'm Tim Cox. We've got Jonathan Grabowski in the virtual production trailer. But right now, I'm joined by Randall McGrew. Randall, welcome along. What an absolute classic in the championship last time out in Long Beach. It was an absolutely epic race.
Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my head around exactly what happened there with some of those incidents, but that's Long Beach for you. We'll see a much different race here tonight at Donington.
I'm sure we're going to see a very different race indeed. Of course, from a street circuit to a classic national circuit. It's held the Formula 1 races for the UK. Now, heavily used for national events. The main jewels in the crown being the British touring cars that this is here every season. Lots of door banging, and it's along with an array of GT racing, the British GT Championship. Also, we do occasionally see the European GT3 Championship head its way here too today. It's all about the Aston Martin GT4s, qualifying well underway. Thompson setting the initial pace. We've got 33 laps of racing for you after qualifying. So I'm sure it's going to be 33 laps of drama, excitement, and unpredictability. Clock just getting up into second place there. Let's see those two vying it out for the top step come the end of the race. And I know that Thompson has been really pushing hard and practicing lots. There was going to be a fellow Brit of mine attending. However, he's unfortunately ill and had to back out of it last minute. And that might pay dividends for Thompson if he wants to claim victory here today in the UK. Using the national version of the circuit. So fast, furious action. Plenty of overtaking opportunities around here. As Thompson goes quicker again there with a 109.327, 7 tenths quicker than Clog in second place, really laying down some epic benchmarks. He is the series organizer, and interesting to see how he gets on. And I couldn't believe it, Randall. We're not that far away from finishing the end of the roast section. I mean, you could argue we're exactly halfway. See Donington Park today, and then in a week's time we're going to head to Laguna Seca for what's going to be, I'm sure, another absolute classic, an absolute gem before we head across into the dirt oval section of the championship, and very different. But let's take a quick look at the championship standings now and see where we're currently at. So Schrenkler leading the championship by one solitary point over Clog, with J-Cam occupying third place, not far behind either. Only 8 points off Schrenkler in the lead. Mike Soren, Mr. Consistency, he's just been chipping away bit by bit. He's in fourth with Thompson. He missed the first couple of rounds, and he's in fifth place right now. Erwin, he's sixth. Chet Rennick, Keir, McDaniel, Benavides and Rannick top 10. The last point scorer would be Jimmy Howard in 11th place. So a long way to go in the championship, only round 3 out of 16. Those are definitely going to change those standings, as this is the beauty of this league, isn't it, Randall, where you've got different disciplines, and even if you're not necessarily strong or quite weak in one of them, it's still all to play for, because there's the section that you may well be incredibly strong in, and you can really haul in those points.
That's right. Some of these guys that are now in the midfield getting fewer points during the road races These points could be the most important points that they score. So if they have a good race on the road and they're actually a dirt oval expert or an oval expert, they could find themselves sitting at the top of the totem pole really easily once we get to that discipline.
So that's where we've got qualifying just going on right now. That's a bit of a shout. So one of our sponsors for this league, the Chetaranic Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. The Crohn's Colitis Foundation is a non-profit, volunteer-fueled organisation dedicated to fighting Crohn's for Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, and improving the quality of life of children and adults affected by these diseases. You can find out more about them by heading across to crohnscolitisfoundation.org and about the great work that they do and that amazing charity. Make sure you check them out. So we've got qualifying well underway, just over halfway. Drivers out to have 3 laps. Now I can tell you that Thompson and Clock, they've set their best times. Likewise as Sorum, he's currently in 4th position. 2nd row of the grid. Chetaranic, who sponsors the league with his brilliant charity. Currently in 7th place. He said all of his laps. Says McDaniel just brought to a halt. He's going to start at, well, 8th potentially. Schenkler yet a set of time. Here having all of his laps deleted due to off tracks, unfortunately. So now he's going to start from the back of the grid. Likewise with Irwin too. So there is Robert Schenkler. What can he do? Because he won't want to be starting near the back of the grid with his championship rivals starting at the sharp end of the field. We've got Jake Ham coming across the line. He's on an improving lap. But wow, what a lap from him to head up into 3rd place. 2nd row of the grid. A really strong effort. 110.2 exactly. No messing around with the hundreds or the thousandths of a second. Making sure they're nicely nestled on the 0 mark. But a great lap from Ham. And of course, all our drivers using the Aston Martin V8 Vantage GT4. So there goes Schenkler, and wow, just got his last lap in there, but it's only good enough for 5th place. And clearly, he's struggling to get grips a little bit with the UK circuit after we saw an epic qualifying from him last time out at Long Beach, and strong results with the victory in round 1 at the Nürburgring 2.
You get to think that these Aston Martins feel right at home here at a track like Donington. I'm sure this is one of the tracks that British car makers use to test their sports cars.
It is indeed. Not wrong there at all. And interesting one for you. So, talking of testing sports cars, etc. So, all the way back in the 60s, the UK used to have unrestricted highways in states, or equivalent of, we call them motorways in the UK. That was up until a race team decided to test on the M1, which was one of the very first motorways built, well, the first one built, hence why it's called the M1. And they decided to do a top speed run. Now, this was back where cars could barely reach, 60 or 70 miles an hour. They clocked 180 miles an hour. And because of that, we were enforced with a 17 mile an hour speed limit, which still lives to this day, despite cars being a lot more powerful in this modern era. Thanks to them, we aren't like our German brothers and sisters across in Europe with their unrestricted autobahns. We have to suffer with a speed limit in this modern era. Thanks to a race team trying to see how fast their race car would go.
That sounds like 2 of the most British things that I've ever heard in my life.
Not quite as British as a cup of tea, though, I would say. A nice custard cream biscuit. Can't beat it. Top tier combo, those two. But as we head across the grid, drivers just forming up right now. Let's run you through how they're going to line up. So Thompson on pole with Clog joining him on the front row. Jake Ham, great last-ditch qualifying from him. Get himself on the 2nd row in 3rd. He's got joined by Brennan Huron. Robert Schenkler might be a little bit disappointed by that one. 1.2 seconds off the pace. with Mike Sorum joining him on the 3rd row. Jerry Di Piero, he's got Chet running with him on the 4th row of the grid with Everett McDaniel and Scott Benavides. So they're going to round out in the top 10 in the 5th row. Jimmy Howard and Kevin Irwin. There, your last complete row, the 6th row with James Keir. Running out your 13 car grid. Unlucky for some 13, but will it be lucky for Keir here today? Well, not long at all to find out. Flashing lights going on, just waiting on a couple of the drivers to take to the grid. As we mentioned, 33 laps of racing here today at Donington. And we're going to get ready for what's going to be an absolute classic, I'm sure. The race down to turn 1. The iconic, in many ways, Red Gate. Before we head through Hollywood, the old hairpin, a really tricky corner. Just tightens up on exit. That's going to be an interesting one for the drivers on the opening laps. Cold tyres as well, vying for positions, close battles. A bit of a cheeky flash of the lights there from, that's Brendan Hearn. Desperate to get things underway, just waiting on Jimmy Howard to take to the grid, and then we will be off if he's going to make it to the grid. At this rate, might be starting from the pits potentially. Oh, there he is, just popping in towards the back of the field. Here come the lights. Let's get ready to go racing in the UK at Donington Park. And we are away. And what a start there from Clog. Thompson absolutely swamped off the start line because here comes Schenkler. Already up 2 places and trying to make it 3 wide. Down into Redgate. Turn 1. Has to hang back. Thompson just getting his nose in there into the rear end of Schenkler. But has to, in the end, sell for 4th as Ham. Right round the outside there. Off Clog, all the way down to the old hairpin. This is where it gets tasty. Trying to pick your braking marker, turn it in, and Ham has secured that top step of the podium for now, but there's still a very long way to go. As everyone files through, we've all got away cleanly here with our top 4. Wow, what a start from the top 3 definitely, but Thompson, a disastrous start for him.
You have to wonder if maybe he forgot to turn off the traction control and that extra long time sitting on the grid caught him off guard.
Race down Starkey straight now towards Roberts, the big braking area. Hard on the brakes. Thompson has a lunge up the inside of Schenkler in the background there. And I think he's got the move done. Yes, he has. He's up into 3rd. The crackles and pops and bangs of the exhausts, they all stream through Roberts down the start-finish straight. To really open up the corner, you see a lot of the drivers just dipping into the pit exit there. As Thompson now tries to get after Clog and Ham, but Schenkler's going to be right on his tail, chasing him down. Don't discredit Brendan Hearn, currently in 5th place right now, because he's going to want a piece of this action. And tell you what, they're dragging along Sora and Di Piero for the ride as well. As what an exit from Hearn there. As he's launching an attack onto the back of Schenkler, really filling his mirrors right now. He's starting to fall off the back of Clog, Ham and Thompson as we head round McLean's and run up the hill towards Coppice, and all just out in the background there was Jimmy Howard getting a bit leery, just catching the... Oh, as there's a spinner out in the background. That's Scott Benavides. No, it's not Scott Benavides, it's Kevin Irwin off into the barrier. Oh, and is he got it wedged? I think he has, Randall.
It looks like he's going to have to call the tow truck. I think Kevin Irwin will be very happy to see the roads section of this league in his rearview mirror and on the other disciplines.
I'll tell you what, I think Thompson's got to slow down because, look, he's fallen right through the order. He did pull across to the left, almost insinuating like he was heading into the pits, but had to back out of it there, and I think that's a slowdown from him. This is what happened to Kevin Irwin, and he just caught the grass on the outside, the dirt there, and that's what sent him careering into the barriers on the inside there, Randall. This is Thompson. Wow, that looked like a cracking move on there. Around the outside into Redgate. So Roberts, but just cut across it. That's a slowdown. That's why he's dropped all the way down through the order. Currently down in 6th place. Well, after a disastrous start, climbed back through the order. Now back to even worse than where he found himself on lap 1. And definitely his work cut out to try and come back from the field. It's reminiscent to what we saw last week at Long Beach, isn't it, Randall?
Yeah, it's very similar. He's being very aggressive early on. And I can understand the instinct to do that, but maybe at this point he needs to dial it back just a little bit. Don't let one mistake become more mistakes, and just trust that his pace is there and pick off drivers as he gets to them.
Oh, up the inside goes Schenkler on Ham. But I tell you what, look at Brendan Huron. He's right into the fight. He's trying to pick a lane to follow through. Who he thinks is going to be the fastest through here. Side by side as we head down through the crane and cabs, and Huron in full attack mode, having a bit of a lunge up the inside into the old hairpin. And that is the move done for him. And Schenkler runs wide out to the cross. And this is going to allow Huron to carry all the momentum through. And now he's up into second. 2 places, 1 corner. What a move from Huron.
And I can see the smile from here on Josh Clogg's face as he watches the fighting behind him and he's opening up that gap to second place.
He's already amassed a 2.8 second lead as everyone is squabbling behind him over second place right now. And as we come round to complete yet another lap, Clog leads to Horan, Schenkler, Ham, Sorum, Thompson, DiPiero, Howard. Yeah, he's had a good start. He's up 4 places already. Oh, his position gain there. Jimmy Howard's second place in terms of position gain. Just in front of him. He's up 3 places. Daniel running out his top 10. Duranic 11th. Benavides 12th. And, wow, having to toe to the pits is Kevin Irwin. So that's round down, but they're at it once again. Ding, ding. Round 2. It's on again. This time it's Schenkler up the inside of Huron. And that is the move done into the old hairpin. Great recovery there to get himself back up into second. And now this has left Huron killed off on momentum on exit because Ham is filling his mirrors. As it gets a bit close and it's getting a bit tight and a bit leery out there, isn't it, Brandon, right now?
Yeah, and I think I saw a move from Adam Thompson as we see another move from Adam Thompson.
Wow, where
Very
did he
move.
come from? Just sent it. Full attack mode up the inside there. Mike saw him, just saw him pop through, left in the space. But there we go. We're going to see a replay of this. It just pulls out of the slipstream and on the brakes. Wow, great move there from Thompson. Saw him, just saw it coming, and I think just elected just to back out of it a little bit so he could carry the momentum through the corner. But Schenkler now at the front of this group, but for how long? As Horan just runs it in a bit too deep there. Hasn't lost too much time. We've got roundabouts 1.3 seconds covering second through to 6th. It's so close, and all it takes is one mistake and you end up in a whole world of trouble, losing place after place out in this group right now.
That's right. If they don't start working together, Josh Clogg's going to completely run away with this race. If they spend a few laps running line astern, they should be able to close that gap a bit and maybe fight towards the end.
As we see, there's Jake Camp, who's going to be desperate to get into the back of Brennan Hearn. He's just opening up a bit of a gap. 7-7 needs to be careful because Thompson is in full attack mode. Has a little bit of a look to the inside there, fakes a move, bouncing across the curves, eating them and some more. Loving the sausage right now as we come across the start-finish line into lap 7. And are we going to see a change for 4th as Thompson heads up the inside, squeezes out Ham, and that's the move done. Next target, Brendan Huron, but can he keep hold of this position? We see so much action on the run down through the crane of curbs already. And last thing these guys want to do is space out a little bit because saw him just dropping off on the back of it. There we go, Schenkler's run wide. There you go, we spoke about this where if you run a little bit wide, you lose so many positions, and now he's at the back of this train. And he's actually dropped 1.7 seconds, in fact, off the back of Sorum. But now he's got all the work to do. Well, Randall, this is just constantly evolving. We're on lap 7 out of 33.
You have to think that Schwenkler had a slowdown there. I see a flash of brake lights. Maybe he was just serving a penalty. This is really good for Adam Thompson. If he can make short work of Brendan Huron, he might actually have a good case for catching Josh Clog.
Getting up onto 2 wheels, absolutely monstering the curves there, pushing Huron along. they try and hunt down a Clog. He's extended this gap out to 3.6 seconds, but, well, it isn't, in fact, going any quicker than what second and third are right now, because they, in fact, posted about 3.4 quicker last time around, with Thompson setting the fastest lap of the race, 109.4, down through Hollywood. The credit curves into the old hairpin, and who's going to merge out the other side ahead? Well, Horan still holding on for it for now, but didn't get the best of X's, as here comes Thompson, right round the outside, the long way round, does all the hard work, and gets the move done there into McLean's. And now, what can he do? But like you say, Randall, these two surely need to work together if they want to take some more time out of Clog. And they've been lapping slightly quicker than him, and that was with battling. So you have to wonder what they can do if they work together.
Adam Thompson took the pole with quite a bit of authority, so I think that now that he's in the front of this pack, he will be the Pied Piper to lead them back up to Josh Clog. He definitely will have his ears pinned back, the dagger in his teeth, as he tries to run down Josh.
I'll tell you what, cracking side-by-side action there from Sorum and Schrenkler into Roberts. Literally, practically holding hands through the hairpin, and Schrenkler just cuts across the front of Sorum. Says, no, you don't. This position is mine. I'm taking control of it right now. As now they have to try and chase after Ham, who's in 4th place. Definitely sets the drivers having to work together in these early stages to close up gaps. And as much as Clock has started to respond to drop his lap times, did in fact set his personal best in the last lap, but the lap was invalidated due to the off track. Unfortunately, he won't be too fussed about that right now.
We're approaching the 1/3 point, and we start seeing the pit window open. It's going to be interesting to see who comes in early and who goes for the overcut.
Well, talking of that, what would you do right now, Randall? Would you try and run it as deep as possible, or maybe let it go a bit early and get yourself in some fresh air?
It's a very tough call at a track like this. I would tend to think that the overcut is the best way to go for it. Run it until it's as dry as you can get it, and then come into pit. If you're the last one to pit, I think you have an advantage coming out of pit lane. If in the event that it's a race to turn 1, you'll have the better line for entry. You may have the outside, but you'll have a better run through the S's.
I think something's happened to Jimmy House. He's been in the pit lane for quite a while now. 4 minutes, in fact. So something's clearly happened to him. Hopefully he's starting to see what's... Well, here we go. Ooh, we're going to see... Wow. Just caught up onto the grass, a snap of oversteer. I think this might be born out of frustration. He is done and dusted. It's Thompson opening up a gap over her, but not really closing in on Clog too much. He still holds on to the lead. 3 seconds exactly. But I'll tell you what, we've got an intriguing battle on for 4th place right now between Schenkler, Sorum, and Ham, who's actually dropped a couple of places as Jake Ham. Behind Schenkler and Sorum. So being Mr. Consistent this season. The iconic pink Sheer Salon 69 machine. So head across the start finish straight on to lap 11. Personal best from Clog at 109.79. But he is going ever so slightly slower than Thompson in second. I mean, it's going to need every one of those 33 laps to close up that gap. As the late great Murray Walker, the British commentator, once said, catching people is one thing, and getting past them is something completely different altogether. And, well, we'll definitely see that being played out live here in the UK at Donington Park.
The gap's closed really quickly all of a sudden. I wonder if Josh Clog has had an off track or an incident. I see some tire marks out in the grass there. Maybe he ran a little bit wide coming through the old hairpin.
It's easy to do. These cars are a little bit like a boat. You've got to just sort of float them through the corners and then nail it on the exits. Very easy to make a mistake, and wow, Clog there just losing 1.2 seconds on the last lap alone. Just from that one tiny mistake. It's a new personal best from Schenkler. He's putting the pedal to the metal right now and saying, well, quicker than our leader in terms of lap pace. second, third, and fourth all lapping in the 109s right now. Sorum isn't far off that either with a 110.2. On board with Thompson, and he can see Clog ahead. He's baying for blood right now. As he head round McLean's, should him up the hill to Coppice. Bit of a blind entry to that corner, and can be a little bit set, a little bit tricky. You need to take lots of the apex on the inside. You maximise your exit, run down Starkey Straight and into Roberts, but this is closing and getting more and more interesting, bit by bit. Well, this battle for the lead. Also, I tell you what, between Sorum and Ham as well, they're having a real good go at things as well. As Clog into the 109s, 109.6, but a new fastest lap of the race for Thompson. And there is Sorum and Ham. Sorum defending hard, just covering off the inside before heading across onto the racing line once again, feeling a bit more comfortable. But I mean, maybe Ham is one of these drivers that might benefit. We were just talking about it, weren't we, Randall, from an earlier pit stop.
That could definitely work out in his favor. Again, it's a really tough call here. It's almost a coin toss. If you pit early, you have the chance of losing any slipstream down the straightaways, but some clean air could also be good.
On board with Ham of Indy Auto Sports. Interesting, the different lines being taken between Ham and Sorum there as they head around McLean's. Sorum electing a bit more for a late apex compared to Ham turning into the corner a bit earlier.
It's a tricky corner. There's a few different ways through it. I believe the late apex is a little bit faster, but you definitely give up a little bit on entry.
Yes. Wow, you can see very evenly matched these two right now. Half a second has been pretty much what the gap has been at, but I'd tell you what, up in the lead, yet again, another blinding lap from Thompson is put right into play and onto the back of Clog. Once again, now they are coming up onto a little bit of traffic. That is, I think that's Scott Benavides in front of them. What part of the story is he going to play?
It could definitely be a factor.
Well, is he even going to be? Thompson heads right around the outside, the long way around, has a twitch there. That's all of his hard work undone. Not quite all of it, though. Gap back out into 8 tenths. That's going to give Clock a bit of breathing space as they're going to come past. Benavides at exactly the right point that they would want to. Down the back straight, Starkey Straight. As the road dips down, the race down towards Roberts, onto the brakes, throwing out the anchor for the right and the left, bouncing across the curves, taking as much as you will dare. We head out onto yet another lap of this fast and furious circuit. You can see why this is just so much loved within the UK, this circuit, can't you? It just brings great action and racing.
That's right. I've been watching the interval between Josh Clog and Adam Thompson dwindle, and I've noticed that Adam Thompson seems to be much faster in that final chicane. He's able to attack it a little bit better. So I suspect what will happen is that he will get a better run out of the chicane and then make a move into turn one.
Oh,
if not before.
Clog runs wide through the old hairpin, and this is Thompson's chance, and he knows it, holding on for dear life right around the outside and into McLean's. They're still side by side. Thompson squeezing Clog to the outside, who's fighting back. They're rubbing doors, almost losing wing mirrors, the pair of them, as he heads round and through and nudges Clog out wide. And that is Thompson through, but looks like he's yielding the position a little bit and bringing Clog back into play. There you go, he's gifting the position back.
He may have caught a slowdown there at the exit onto the straightaway too, so he may be serving a slowdown, but maybe he's just being a good sport, so good on him either way.
As that is Ham past Sorum. I think Ham was getting fed up of looking at the rear end of that 69 machine. Lap after lap, and finally finds a way past Sorum. As here we go, they're at it once again, down through the Craner curbs, side by side between Thompson and Clog. Clog on the outside, he's gonna get squeezed, and they just about find a way through. The Clog's carrying them more momentum as we head up towards McLean's. Thompson tips back into the inside, and Clog is gonna hold on to this one. for now. And we're only on lap 16 out of 33. We're only a half race distance. How long can these two carry it on for? Because Thompson heads up to the inside. Clock tries to cut back in and squeeze in. Can't find the switchback, or can he? Because he's going to be on the slipstream down the back straight. Thompson weaving, trying to break that toe, going early to cover off that inside line. Dips back onto the racing line. Who's going to be the more aggressive here? Well, I'll tell you what, it's Clark. Oh, and he hits Thompson, and Thompson just points him back in the right direction. But what damage has the pair of them incurred? But look, here comes her, and he's right back into the mix now between the pair of them.
Adam Thompson counting his lucky stars right now. Without a little bit of benefit from Lady Fate here, as Josh Clark was able to nudge him back in the right direction. It looks like mostly cosmetic damage from both drivers. I think Adam Thompson was a little too worried about defending, missed his marks going into the chicane a little bit, got a little bit too much of that second sausage, and around he went.
Some say you can never have too much sausage, but in racing terms, well, Thompson proving that it definitely could really put pay to your race. The gap now 7/10. Once again, we've seen this before, but Huron is closing in because he's only a second off Thompson. And the more these two keep scrapping, keep battling, this is going to turn from a two-way race for the victory into a three-way. I don't discredit Schenkler because he's not far behind as well. And all it takes is a little bit more battling and he'll be brought into play. There's a bit of understeer there into Roberts from Huron. He tries to get through the corner, but it's closing up and looming like a lion stalking its prey. Clog is going to be fed up of seeing that black slow motion broadcasting livery in his wing mirrors and his rear view mirror, just sick to the back teeth of looking at it and trying to pick in his corner entry and exit points and braking points. As here we go into the old hairpin. Clog struggled with this a little bit. It's picked up from front wide, very easy to do with the corners, a bit off camber underneath the bridge, of course, with the plane on top of it. A nod to the East Midlands Airport that's literally just on the other side of the circuit. Flight center, their flight path comes right over the top. A spectacular view of it when you're coming into land here. There's Clog. Wow. I mean, I don't know how long he can absorb this pressure, or does he allow Thompson through and just bully him instead?
If I'm Josh Clark, I'm probably going to keep this position. Every time that Adams made a move on him, it's ultimately ended up in a mistake. As we see Adam Thompson did it in the pits and trying to attempt the undercut. But I think ultimately that Brennan Huron is in the catbird seat with this situation.
He is. As Schenkler's in as well. Hams into Dreddick, McDaniel all into the pits.
Looks like Chet Dreddick's taking tires.
He's back out off again, Dreddick. McDaniel, he's on his way out too. Well, tires will last the one set will last the entirety of the race. If you're taking on full fuel, then you don't need to worry too much about. There's no time penalty for changing your tires with the GT4s. But there is your leader, Clog, and really opening up that gap to Brendan Huron behind 3.7 seconds. It was only about 2 seconds between those two at the start of this lap, so he is really pushing for the in-lap of his life. Erwin's just headed into the pits, so currently stands on top 5, all yet to pit. And there he comes into the pits. There's your leader, he's in. Huron carries on yet again, going deep, going long. Mike saw him. Oh, I thought he was heading across into the pits there, just faking it for the commentators. Wow, where is Clog going to come out in relation to Thompson? That is the killer question, really, Randall.
We'll see if my prediction pays off or not here.
Wow, Clog is on pit exit. Here comes Thompson, storming through like a freight train. And where is he? No, Clog's going to come out just in front as everyone's headlights come on. And with a flash, that is him still in the lead, and he's extended that gap. Looks like 1.2 seconds, Randall.
I think that Josh Clog's been able to keep his driving a little bit cleaner. Adam had to do a lot more aggressive driving to get through some other cars. Probably burned up a lot more fuel. Josh Clog was able to save a bit more. Probably had to take a little less.
It's 5 to 9 here, local time, and that's why everyone's headlights have come on. And that's how long everyone was stationary for. And you can see that second that Clog made up in the pit stops against Thompson really playing out. As there is your provisional leader. Horan's in, Sorum's in. You can see Keir come in as well. He's the last driver yet to pit. We're on lap 21 out of 33. And there is Keir into the pit lane as well. Now, where is Horan going to come out in relation to these guys? Oh, no, Thompson's gone. He got into the back of Clog and is left stranded. Roberts pointing in the wrong direction. But there is Horan, and he's going to come out behind Clog. And wow, the gap's extended even further. This is the replay. Oh, that's Thompson trying to get going again. So here it is. I mean, he's going to have closed up massively. Is he just overshot the corner? Carried just a bit too much speed. Tried to correct it, had nowhere to go. Clattered the inside sausage curb, and that's what sent him out of control there, Randall.
Adam's been able to attack that chicane a lot better than any other driver that I've seen. So I think that he had a little bit of extra space and maybe a few extra miles an hour speed from the slipstream. I think he hit his normal braking mark. I think he maybe was just caught off guard at how quickly he closed up on Josh Clogg's rear bumper and panic braked a little bit. And once he got on that initial sausage, it was pretty bad result for him. So now he's just going to have to salvage. We're going to take another look at this. We're going to see how much later he brakes. About the same place as Josh Clog, but he's able to just carry more speed in there. But the way that gap closed definitely caught him off guard.
Brilliant camera angles there from the helicopter, really showcasing from braking mark. You see once again how aggressive Thompson is able to take the curbs, just dipping the wheel onto the inside wheel onto the inside of the curbs there, just out turn the car around. But that is Thompson past Keir. Up into 6th place. His time is running out 2 race distance completed. Clog leads from Horan. Shankler in 3rd, Ham 4th, Sorum, Thompson, Keir, DiPiero. Let's drive on the lead. Lat McDaniel in 9th, running 10th. There's Erwin Benavides and 4G. Jimmy Howard retired all the way back on lap 5. We're on lap 22. Still a lot of places to play for, but Clog is pulling away from Horan. 5.2 seconds is the gap. You can see, just in the phase of pit stops there, he made up 6 seconds on Brennan Horan. So I think DiPiero just made his way past James Keir there. So that is for position 7th place.
And to not to harp too much on Adam Thompson, as we're going to look at a replay of another incident. Oh, sorry, DiPiero passing Keir.
Ooh,
And it looks like Keir was off the track there, so maybe it was an incident after all. Not to harp on Adam Thompson too much, but that incident could have huge championship implications, as he had to miss the 1st round. This league has no drop races, so that's one race in the hole that he has on the leaders. If he can't put together a good run in a few of the other disciplines, he may find himself struggling to win the championship.
To make it. This is what I caught the grass on the outside of McLean's to Keir and did well to keep it out of the barrier there. 10 out of 10 for pirouetting round in the 88 machine there, and still needs to rejoin and pick his way back out onto the racetrack. As you mentioned, I mean, Thompson was looking to make it made it 2 pole positions in a row. Was looking for 2 wins in a row. That, by some massive miracle, seems unlikely here today in the UK. And we are on, as things stand, for our 3rd different podium this season with Horan. If he can finish where he is, his 1st time on the podium this season. And interestingly, Josh Clog, he picked a 2nd up in round 1 at Nürburgring, a 3rd last week in Long Beach. The only step of the podium he hadn't stepped onto is the top step As he stands, he's looking like he's going to complete the set here in the UK. Still plenty of racing left to do, and all it takes is one mistake. And your race completely transformed, as we've seen so many times already this evening.
If you're Josh Clogger, you're going to tighten up the track a little bit in your mind. You have 5 seconds nearly to give to Brendan Horan, so you're not going to push the car too hard and find yourself off track. But at the same time, you don't want to slow down so much that you find yourself off rhythm. So it's a delicate balance.
For me, the interesting one is I've just been keeping half an eye on Schrinkler, because he has been slowly, bit by bit, chipping away at Horan's lead. I mean, last time, well, a bit more than chipping away last time around. 9 tenths is what he managed to close up on Horan in the previous lap. So, and that sort of pace differential, it's going to be right to the back of him in a roundabout. Now, this time next lap, can he do it? Well, it remains to be seen. A dangerous driver. Dangerous being the sponsor name of his car. Not actually saying that he's a dangerous driver per se. I think it's a good point. Things have just calmed down out on track. Shout out to another of our sponsors for this league, Nexus Fab. Nexus Fabrication, specialising in metal fabrication and manufacturing for commercial, residential and custom projects, as well as signage, furniture and metal repair work. You can find more about them. Find out more about them by heading across to nexusfab.com. Make sure you check those guys out. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening, get notifications when we go live here at Slow Motion Broadcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. So give us a little like while you're at it. It means a lot. It goes a long way. There's Soren. It's closing in. Wow, on the back there. That's not for position against that. That was Irwin, I think, is running wide. Thompson is hot onto the heels of Soren. And not far up the road from them is Jake Camp 2. This is evolving. And it's intriguing me a lot. And I'll tell you what, as much as I mentioned earlier about Schrinkler and how he's closing in on Horan, well, Horan has responded to Schrinkler and has maintained, and if anything, slightly extended that gap to 1.7 seconds. And this is fascinating stuff, isn't it, Randall? It really could go anyway.
Yeah, it looks like Adam Thompson's going to easily be able to catch Jake Ham after he gets around Mike Sorum, but a podium finish might be out of the cards for him without somebody else making a big mistake. We did see the gap between Josh Clogg and Brendan Horan close by maybe 1.5 seconds over the previous lap, so maybe Josh Clogg had a bit of an incident again.
So we're on to lap 27 now. There is your leader, Clogg. 4 seconds is what he has over the rest of the field. Not the best of last laps, 11.7. Lost a bit of time, but he's got it in the bag as Kira's been past Di Piero. I think Di Piero might have come off the track potentially, so that's what's facilitated that move. As he's swapping places over again. As things continue and get even more fascinating out on track. Where will it go? Of course, it's the Aston Martin factory. Sits on the opposite side of Motorsport Valley, which in part sits around the northern side of. It's out of Gaydon or Aston Martin. The Motor Museum next door to them. So Jack and Land Rover have a little facility on the same site. It's a former RAF base, obviously left over from World War II. It was made up so many of the UK motor racing circuits. There's lots of disused airfields after World War II. Lots of repurposed into fantastic tracks. Of course, it's iconic and well-known one was Silverstone, originally RAF Silverstone. Not too far from here. And Aston Martin factory actually based not too far away from ProDrive, who look after all of Aston Martin's racing endeavours and also built the iconic Subaru Impreza with the 666 livery on the side of it, the blue with the gold Sorry, it's 555, wasn't it? Apologies, getting my cigarette brands wrong. Of course, when we used to have cigarette branding in motor racing. And around the corner from them is the Haas F1 team as well. It's littered with lots of motorsport endeavours, just all the way from F1 down to lesser series as well. As well, I'll tell you what, after one nasty excursion that sent him spinning, encountering those curves, Thompson, he's back to monstering them once again and closing right in on the back of Ham. That gap down to only 0.8 of a second now, Randall.
Yeah, we'll see if he can keep his patience while working around Jake Hamlin and possibly drive away from him after getting around him, if he can get around him. As you mentioned before, catching somebody's one thing, passing them is another.
See where Thompson, he can make a bit of time there over Ham, where Ham just not quite hitting the apex. Just the understeer starting to affect him maybe a little bit in these latter stages of the race. We're on lap 29 out of 33, 4 laps remaining here in the UK as McDaniel's headed into the pits. I think he's had a bit of an issue out on track. But I mean, it's going to take something big for Thompson to get on the podium. It seems pretty unlikely because they're 7 seconds behind the back of Schrenkler onto the brakes. Monstering those curbs once again, and who's going to be the last of the late breakers into turn 1? Redgate. Thompson elected just to sit behind for the moment, trying to play it a little bit safe and just try and force Ham into a mistake, and maybe that was it on the exit of Redgate to head down the hill towards the old hairpin. Thompson on the outside looking for the cut back here, potentially trying to sneak up the inside of Ham. Can he get the move done? Well, he's pulling alongside, trying to hold his car, keep it pinned in. We've seen this before from these two, but I'll tell you what, Ham is not giving this up easily, but in the end just has to yield. That's Thompson through up into 4th place.
I think maybe Adam Thompson learned his lesson from his encounter with Josh Clogg and using a little bit more patience and prudence when making passes. That was very clean, and I wish I could have seen that earlier. Maybe he pulled that aggression back just a little bit. You see he's still attacking that last chicane. He's definitely flying through that area of the track.
It's where you can make it a lot of time through there. It's just, especially in these GT4s, you wouldn't want to be doing it in any of the open wheelers, but you can really just mash the car into the curbs. It's the quickest route around there. Now it's Horan. I tell you what, Schenkler is catching in once again. He's taken about another 3 attempts out of him here, Randall, hasn't he? And this is tightening up in the closing stages. Has Schenkler got enough left up his sleeve to close it up and get the move done on Horan? And of course, only a short lap around here, just around about the 1:10 mark on average.
Well, I think nobody's more aware that Schwenkler's catching Horan than Brendan Horan himself. He's definitely got an eye on his mirror as we see he's running a little bit wide on a few of these exits, trying to push the car and get as much speed out of it as he can to hold off in these closing stages.
So we have got 2 laps left right in Donington Park. Position still up for grab. That's 2nd place between Horan and Schrenkler. But it's been a waltz in the park since losing Thompson from that battle for the lead. Locke's had it all his own way and been relatively easy. Just needs to bring him around. And of course, these last 2 tours of the circuit. There's Horan. Where is Schenkler? Well, he's closed the gap up to a 2nd. He's throwing absolutely everything at it, including the kitchen sink right now. Randall is Schenkler. Can he get it done?
There's definitely a chance. He needs to push hard. You see him flashing his lights a little bit, trying to get into Brendan Horan's head. That's a pro move right there. That's exactly what I'd be doing. Be showing my nose even if I wasn't close. Let him know that I'm coming. Hopefully rattle him into a mistake.
Gap is down to 0.8 of a second. The white flag flies here in Donington. 1 lap left remaining. Clog just starting to back out a little bit. It's all about that battle for second place because it's shrinking that gap even more so, down to 8 tenths of a second. And it's going to take a big lap here from Schrenkler just to close up, let alone get past Horan. He just has one more tour to hold on to second place. Can he do it? Well, we have not long left to find out. Under a minute, in fact. This will be Horan's first time on the podium this season. If he can hold on to it, what a way to start in second place. Into McLean's. But up a hill they go.
Schmeichel's going to need a perfect exit here to have a chance.
He's definitely got a tighter line there, but I think it's going to be too little too late. They headed out of Compass, down Starkey Straight. And Horan just needs to get the chicane absolutely spot on. As there is your leader, Clog. He's going to take the victory, and look in the background, there's going to be a fight right to the line, but Horan's going to get it. The flash of the lights. He claims second place here in the UK. Schrenkler in the end has to settle for third. Wow. What a race here at Donington Park. A big shout to James Keir, up 6 places into 7th. Absolutely a great drive from him.
See him being very gentle through that chicane, just bringing the car home.
That's all he needs to do. Benavides is placing his personal best on the last final lap. 13.2. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Yet again. Spoke about it in the build-up to the race. About drama, excitement, and unexpected circumstances. Culminating in an epic race, and yet again, we saw it here in the XSLR Championship. Clog claims the victory. First victory of the season. He's been on the second step and the third step of the podium. Finally gets onto the top step for the first time this season. Ren Horan, his first time on the podium, great result from him in second place. With Schrenkler rounding out your podium, returns to the podium from him after he's took a victory back in round 1 at Nürburgring. Thompson, wow, in the end, just didn't work out his way. Mistakes cost him dearly and has to settle for 4th place. Jake Cam in 5th, Mike Sorum 6th. Kia, the last driver on the lead lap, and up as mentioned, incredible 6th place is a great drive from him. Joe Barry, the first driver is 1 lap down, is in 8th for Chet Durenic. Behind him in 9th, Kevin Irwin, 10th place, 2 laps down, with McDaniel just popping in his personal best right at the end. In 11th, Benavides in 12th, and Howard retiring the car all the way back on lap 5. But let's have a bit of a chat to some of our drivers. And first up, let's have a chat to our winner here today. They're joined by Josh Clog. Josh, what a drive. I mean, as much as I'm sure you're enjoying the racing, when you saw Adam disappear out your mirrors after having that spin at the final chicane, that must have felt like a massive weight gone from your shoulders.
Yeah, that was definitely a bit of a relief, but you know, it just first of all, great racing him. That was a lot of fun. Being able to go too wide, and you know, even when he went a little wider and gave me a little tap, he gave it right back. So that was, you know, he should have won today. He was definitely the faster car. So hats off to him for being fair about everything during the races. But that was a lot of fun.
Right, definitely. It looked like that from the outside. I mean, you got an absolutely brilliant start. I mean, you left everyone for dead. Was it just all down to reaction time to the lights?
Mostly just getting the car to grip up. I actually was a little slower today than usual. I had a little more spin than I wanted, but it still seemed to work out. Jake, I believe, was the one that got the best start.
Yes, he did from the second row. He had obviously blind.
Yeah.
Wow, I mean,
yeah,
from that
it's all about grip.
It is indeed, and even so, I mean, your first victory of the season, had a second, had a third. I mean, you couldn't ask for much better, really, could you?
Yeah, it's been solid. Absolutely. I've definitely made my fair share of mistakes, but came away with this one somehow. So happy with it.
Before we let you go, Josh, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
Adam Thompson, great race.
There we go. That's Josh Clogg, your victor here today in round 3 of the XSLR Championship in Donington Park. Now, next up, I understand you are standing by with second place finisher, Randall. You've got Mr. Brennan Huron.
That's right. Hey, Brennan, great race, great P2. I think this is your first race in the league this season. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Definitely at the beginning there. I'm a little bit familiar with the track. I'm pretty familiar with the car, but I'm not at all familiar with the car on this track. So it was a little bit difficult for that the qualifying session, but I was happy to qualify up there. And yeah, it was a lot of fun battling Robert Schwenkler, all the way through that first third of the race. And then up towards the end, he was catching me, and my tires were just completely gone. So a few more laps, I'm sure he would have got me.
So tell me a little bit about how much Robert Schwenkler was looming in your mirrors. I saw him flashing his lights a lot. Was that getting to you at all?
Yeah, the lights are still imprinted into my eyes. That's how bright they were. It was every lap I look in my mirror, blink, blink, blink. I'm like, oh my God. And I thought for sure he was going to get me. I ran wide with a couple laps at the finish, and I got a little bit worried there. But yeah, I held on to him. I used my lights a little bit too to get by traffic, but I wasn't going to let Rob by.
That's great. That's great. Great maiden run for you for this season. Anybody you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, big thanks to my team, D2D E-Racing, our sponsors, Skull Sim Gear, Proforma, Elite Texas Graphics, BCR Designs, you guys at Slow Motion for the great broadcast, everyone at XSLR for putting on this great league, and my family for their support.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing what you can do next week at Laguna Seca. Thanks, Brandon.
See you there.
Now, Randall, I'm going to let you have the honours of having the last interview of the day. We've got Robert Schwenkler, who finished third here today.
Robert, what a race. Can you tell me a little bit about what was going on there at the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, I got a great start. Jumped up there with those top two guys dicing it up. I got a slowdowns. I guess I forgot what lap it was. So that's why I had to pull off and let everyone go by. So after that, it was just trying to not make a mistake and claw my way back. I got that slowdown in that last chicane. I think I just took a little bit too much of that first curb, and that's all she wrote.
So you were closing up very fast on Brendan Huron at the end, and we saw you flashing your lights, showing your nose, doing everything you could to get into his head. It looked to be a little bit effective. Did you guys race together a lot? I'm guessing. So tell us about that.
Yeah, he and I used to race in the Spec 5 League that you guys covered several seasons ago. So I know Brennan pretty well. I could see I was closing the gap, and I think I was turning my fastest laps there at the end on low fuel. And I saw the gap closing. I was just trying to push as much as I could and get into his head. And I needed probably one more lap to try to make a clean pass. But I'll still take P3. Can't complain about that.
Well, after that slowdown, it was a pretty good recovery run. Anybody you'd like to shout out?
Oh yeah, big shout out to season sponsors, Adam Thompson for running everything in the league. And the other admins for helping out when they can. Big shout out to friends and family watching, for my girlfriend Frankie for letting me do this hobby. And yeah, looking forward to the next race.
I'd like to thank Frankie too, because he put on some really good performances, and very interested to see what you can do at Laguna Seca next week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I like that track a lot, so we'll see what happens.
All right, thank you, Robert.
Appreciate it, Randall.
Always good to hear from all of our drivers who managed to claim their podium positions, Randall. Fascinating insight from all of them as always, but what was your standout moment, if you had to pick out one, or favourite moment that we experienced here today at Donington?
I'm going to have to give it to Josh Clogg. He weathered the storm. I can't believe that this is the first win that he's had for the season. He seemed to be pretty dominant at every track. But he definitely weathered the storm from a faster driver and managed to come out on top.
You're not wrong there indeed. It was an inspired drive from him to secure the victory here in round 3, but wow. Wow. Yet again, the XSLR Championship delivering excitement, thrills and spills. And we just knew it would always be another classic with a great circuit here at Donington on the national circuit. Always brings lots of drama and excitement. Plus you throw in this championship, it was like a marriage made in heaven. Well, something a bit different next week as we head back to America. I've been Tim Cox with Randall McGrew and Jonathan Grabowski, and we'll see you in a week's time when the XSLR Championship returns for round 4 at Laguna Seca.